Peace be to all. I hope everybody's having a beautiful and wonderful day. I'm just coming to y'all today to just show y'all my container mix that I will be using for the 2026 gardening season. This container mix will apply for tomatoes, squash, peppers. It may be a little much for herbs. If you have any dwarf trees or dwarf berries, this is also something that you could use if you want to be able to container garden inside of a pot. This is a good all-around mix. Like I said though, I just wouldn't use it for herbs. So right now I'm starting with this Garden Magic mix. And the reason I'm using this is for aeration. As y'all could see on the back, we got processed forest products, rice hulls, and some organic fertilizer. And this is what it is. The reason I'm using this is because it's very airy and I don't have a whole lot of perlite left. So I'm gonna be mixing this in with some perlite for my aeration. Here I just have some things y'all could use to measure. So I have a 5-gallon bucket here. I have a 3-gallon pot. I have a 2-gallon pot. This right here is a 1-gallon pot. Then I have a pot that's about a cup worth of material. So the first thing we added was about a 5-gallon worth of perlite and the composted forest material rice hull mix. And so that will be my aeration. So you want to go about a 5-gallon bucket of aeration. You can just use only perlite, but like I said, I don't have a whole lot of it left. So that's why I kind of mixed it together. It's not the best thing to do, but it's what I have. And so it's gonna work still. So that's what I encourage y'all to do. You don't have to follow this recipe 100%. Just know that you need some aeration, you need some nutrition, and you need like a soil base, a soil medium to actually be the structure for the soil. And so with that being said, we're gonna go right into the next thing, which is going to be using peat moss. I'm going to do about 5 gallons bucket worth of peat moss in this mix. Whenever you get this peat moss, you want to make sure you break it up ahead of time. So I just dumped in that peat moss. Whenever y'all start dumping things in, make sure as you dump it in, you mix it. So now I'll go with about 1 gallon of this right here. Which is the Fox Farms soil conditioner. And this has worm castings and bat guano in it, as well as some other bacteria, fungi, and microbes. So we're gonna go in with about 1 gallon of these worm castings. Mix this in. So I would actually say I would go with a full 5-gallon bucket of the peat moss. So I'm gonna add another 2.5. And this is just for soil structure as well as moisture retention. If you keep this peat moss decently moist, it is really good at retaining moisture. But if you let it dry out, it can become hydrophobic. So that is something you want to pay attention to. You don't want to let this peat moss dry out because it can be very hard to moisten it back up whenever it's inside of a container without disturbing the soil. If y'all can, wear a mask, wear some type of mask, because there's a lot of dust and things that can be flying around whenever you're using this peat moss. and it's perlite, as well as some of these other amendments I will be showing y'all in a second. So far, we have 5 gallons aeration, 5 gallons peat moss. We have 1 gallon of straight worm castings, and then we have another gallon of a worm casting and bat guano mix. You don't have to mix with your hands. I just prefer to mix with my hands initially, just so I could break up a lot of those clumps. Another tip is you can moisten it as you're pouring in the perlite and the peat moss, just because those things are very dusty, and moistening it up will kind of get those dust particles, stop those dust particles from flying in the air. But I moisten it up just to kind of incorporate the soil, because you don't want to plant into just straight dry soil. It's a little bit easier if you could pre-moisten it. So I will be adding 1 gallon of some mushroom compost. So we are currently at 3 gallons as far as nutrition, organic matter. The reason I like to mix the different ones instead of just one specific compost is because I haven't found a compost that has everything in it, for one. And for two, it's just better for the biodiversity, especially whenever we come talk about these containers. I'll be adding about 2 gallons worth of some of my microgreen compost. This is also for nutrition. This is another way for you to not have to buy so much. If you do grow your own microgreens, just compost them, and this will add nutrition to your soil mix. So I'm gonna show y'all how the soil mix is looking right now. This is how the mix is currently looking. So now this is where I will start going in with some of the nutrition as well, but this is trace minerals. So I'll be using 1 to 2 cups, probably 2 cups of oyster shell. I'll be using about 1 cup of oyster shell flour. I'll be using about 1 cup of neem seed meal. I'll be using about 1 cup of azomite, rock dust. And then I'll also be using about 2 cups of charged biochar. So this is how it looks. And then we just gonna mix it up. Make sure that y'all get into these corners, because that typically is the part that doesn't get mixed, is the corners. So just make sure whenever y'all are doing it, y'all get into these corners. And then in the bottom, in the middle specifically. So now what I'm gonna do to make it a little bit easier on myself, so I'm gonna scoop some of this and I'm gonna put some in a 5-gallon bucket. Like I said, I'm scooping from different sides, just so whenever it goes into this extra 5-gallon bucket, those pieces will be mixed together. It's just making this mix about 5 gallons lighter so that I could get in here and mix this together a little better. Now coming in with that 5-gallon bucket. So the last thing I'm gonna be doing is just filling up this 15-gallon container. As a tip, what we gonna do is, just so we not necessary, it's not a waste of soil, but I don't necessarily want to fill this whole thing up with good nutrient dense soil. So what I'm going to do is add some more of my microgreen compost to the very bottom, just so I could get it to a good level. So there we go. Now we're gonna start adding some of our mix. Mix it in a little bit. You can shake the container a little bit just to even out that soil. Get some of those extra air pockets out so it doesn't settle as much. So here y'all have it. This is how I've done my soil mix. Thank you to everyone who has stayed tuned this whole video. Thank you for all the people who have stayed along for this gardening journey. I appreciate y'all. This is my 2026 container garden mix. It's gonna work out really well of the things that I have learned over the years. I hope to share these things with y'all, and I hope y'all are able to grow some big, beautiful plants. Like I said, this is an ideal mix for your vegetables. I wouldn't necessarily use it on my herbs because it is a little bit strong. But with that being said, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I hope y'all enjoy what we got going on. Continue to garden, continue to plant seeds, not only in the garden, but in everyday life. Continue to motivate the people around you and yourself. Don't get caught up in the everyday life and the hustle and bustle. Remember that you have to take care of yourself. Remember that taking care of yourself includes taking care of your garden, because that is a part of your nourishment. You want to nourish yourself so that you don't have to subject yourself to a lot of the nonsense in this world. It's a lot of pesticides out there. It's a lot of chemicals out there. It's a lot of companies who just preying on us, and I don't approve of it. So instead of being preyed upon, I would rather pray and give thanks to the Most High or whoever you believe into, and pray to them and thank them for the nature. Thank them for the ability to garden. Thank them for the ability to reach food sovereignty. Thank them. Thank our ancestors for allowing us to be here. And with all that being said, without getting too philosophical, remember that this is a beautiful day to garden. Love your neighbor as you love yourself, and love yourself as you love your neighbor. Peace.
Draining all your energy, better pull them like a weed. Undefeated in life, shit, I sprouted like a seed.